guys, it's Cindy. It's been a while since I did any junk journal pages with you all, so I thought today would be a good day to do that. I've been making some pages just from my scraps, what I have on hand. So if you want to use up some of your scraps and make these beautiful pages with me, stay tuned.
So here's what we're going to make today. Let me flip through it really quickly. We have lots of collaging, we have pockets, we have an insert that we'll do, we have a flip, and some journaling spots. So in order to make that, what you'll need to start out with is 2 sheets of coffee or tea stained paper, or whatever paper you want to use. You can even use scrapbook paper. I'm using 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11 folded in half. You will also need some kind of trim. Now this particular trim I really like. It's from Hobby Lobby, and the reason why I like it is because it has that lace up the middle and it makes it look really two-dimensional. I like that look. You could make it yourself. If you have a wider piece of trim and a narrower piece, you can just glue the narrower piece on to make that look. And then I have my antique buttons because I'm going to sew a button on that trim. And I have my Boxo scraps. I love these plastic bins. I have about 20 of these. They're inexpensive, they're stackable, and they're a great way to store your scraps for different projects, and they're portable. You can take them to crops too. They're great for that purpose. And you can use whatever scraps you have on hand. That's the whole purpose of this. I have piano roll paper, music paper, embossed cardstock. These are all just scraps from that bin that I just showed you. And you can use really whatever you want. So let's get started. And I'm going to try to make this very simple today. I'm just going to tear this with my distress ruler. Not going to measure anything. Leaving a little bit of a border of the tea-stained paper. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I don't know why I'm flipping that over. It's music on both sides. But and I am going to just stick it on with my glue stick. Like so. And then I'm going to take continue collaging this and take a couple of pieces of piano roll paper and put those on. So all I'm doing here is I'm putting a longer strip in the upper left-hand corner, leaving a little bit of a border at the top and the side, and then in the upper right-hand corner I have a smaller strip that I'm just putting right there. And then the one that I showed earlier did have a title across the top of the sheet music, and I liked that. So I'm just going to quickly stamp a sentiment across the top. So I'm just stamping this on with Tim Holtz Vintage Photo, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out. And next we're going to work on the belly band. So get a piece of trim and measure it the same width as your paper. It's going to get sewn onto the page. And then I'm going to sew a button, an antique button, right here. So I just sewed an antique button on with a scrap of my bookbinder's thread that I have. I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew it on here and here, but you don't have to do that. You can just glue it. I like to sew it because it makes the belly band much more durable because you're going to be pulling it and putting things in there. So I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine really quickly and sew the edges on. So that's all sewn on. I did use a contrasting color. I used a dark brown because I didn't want everything to be all monotone, although monotone is fine. If that is the look, that you want to go for, that's fine. I'm just going to pull these off a little bit. Okay. Now on the other one, I put embossed paper here and here, but I just looked in my scraps and I don't have any right now, which is unusual for me. But I do have some textured wallpaper. So I think I'm going to put just a little bit of that on here. I doubt that this will rip. Let me see. It might. Oh, it did. Yay. Okay. I'm going to put a piece here with my glue stick. Piece here. And a smaller piece right here. Right there. And there's the front of our first page. Let's open it up and work on the inside. On the inside of the first one that I made, I did this as a journaling page, but I am trying to use my scraps. So I'm going to tear this apart. This is my new kit, Farmer's Accounting Ledger, that just went in my shop. It's an actual book in my stash from 1806, and I want to use this. When I do a digital kit, I get tons of scraps. So I think I want to tear this and put it right here. So it's up to you if you want the thread from your belly band here to show or not. I left it kind of showing on one side. And a couple of other options, or at least one other option for the inside of this page if you don't have something like this, or a ledger page like I showed earlier. I almost put this on. This is I love to find antique books that have borders on the pages because they just look really nice, and then I did a stamp down the side, and that was an option too. That would look really nice. So just use whatever you have. We're going to do another kind of belly band on this side, and for this you need just something that is about, let's see, maybe 3 by 3 or around 3 inches. It can be bigger though, but something that is somewhat rectangular. On the first one that I did, I used something that I cut out of an art magazine. And it was a nice shape and had some pretty images on it. But again, want to use my scraps. I always have scraps left over that I run through the sewing machine, and this one I think will look really pretty here. So I'm going to take my double-sided tape, but you can use glue, whatever you like, and I'm going to put some adhesive here and put it on as another kind of belly band. I like to offset it a little bit, but you can put it anywhere on the page that you like. And now this tag becomes trying to find something, becomes a belly band, and we can stick another tag in there. Like that. So there's the inside of this page. And now let's do the back side. I do want to have a little space for journaling on the back of this, so this was in my scraps and I'm going to use a piece of this. I think this will look really nice. I have a video showing how I did this. I just took a piece of cardboard, corrugated cardboard, stamped it with my ink pad, and laid it down on the paper to make some really cool journal lines. So I'm going to tear a piece of this off and maybe put it at the bottom a little bit, maybe this much. And again, because we're collaging, I want to put something here, and I love masking tape. And I'm going to put it on the edge and just fold it over a little bit. And there's our back side. We can even ink it just to make it stand out a little more. The other thing that I did on the other one was I just took an old book page and I decorated it just a little bit and put that on the inside too. So let's make let's make a little insert really quickly too. I have an old dictionary, and this paper is so delicate it falls apart practically when I touch it. So I'm going to do just a small crease, not crease it the whole way through, just so that I can find the center, and then take some more of my masking tape and reinforce the center. Otherwise, it's never going to withstand being sewn into a journal. Okay, so I was able to reinforce that, and it's going to take a little bit of burnishing to get it to lay flat. There we go. You can put it on the outside or you can put it on the inside, whatever you prefer. And let's do just a tiny bit of decorating on the front of I printed off a sheet of the white from my public domain quotes that I printed on my 1930s typewriter for you all. And I think I want to just tear it. I do have some there's a white version of this in my shop, and then there's in the same set there's a tea stained version, and I just happen to have some of these, just the white one on hand, so that's what I'm using. And then I just inked it up, and then I just want a little something in the corner here, a little scrap probably of that. I still have a piece of this wallpaper left. You could use a piece of fabric, you can use more masking tape, you can use another piece of this, whatever you want to do. And actually maybe I'll put it in the I'll put it in the bottom right hand corner. And there we go with that, and that can go inside here. And then we had one more sheet to decorate. And actually I forgot one thing. On this side, on the bottom, I did have some piano paper that was folded and then sewn. So I'm going to put that on there as well. I took a piece of piano roll paper, but you can take anything, and I'm going to pass it through my sewing machine just on 3 sides and make another pocket and glue it on here. I sewed this really messy, but I'm okay with that. You know what? It's only my second day out of bed after having you know what, so you could probably hear it in my voice a little bit. Okay, so we are done with this section, and let's go and do this one. And let's see, it's going to be here. Let me set that aside for right now. So I want to make something that looks good with this. So the other one that I showed you earlier had a pocket here with some inserts. So let's make a simple pocket. You can make a pocket out of any scrap that you have that you can cut into a rectangle. Well, it doesn't even have to be a rectangle really, but anything that will fit on your page. So I have another scrap of this neutral toned wallpaper. And so I'm going to tear this down. And just place it on there. I'm going to glue here, here, and here. And actually, I use double-sided tape, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And just place that there. So now I have a nice little pocket. And to put in the pocket, I'm just going to go through my scraps and see what I have. And I do have a lot more of the, where did they go? Of the sewn items. I have a lot of these. I mean, I'm talking a stack like this big because that's what I do with all my scrapbook paper after I'm done with projects. If there's something that I can't really use in something else, I cut them down into squares and tags and sew them. But I have these two scraps. I want to put a little pop of color in here. This I think I will use because it looks really good with this. I might use that. But I'm just going to cut down these scraps to make a journal insert. So I cut that down to 3 by 4, and this is just a scrap, a really wonky shaped scrap that I had in my pile. I'm going to glue that down right there. And just trim it up. And ink the edges, which I do pretty much on everything. And that can go in there. And then this was a scrap off of this paper, and I thought that might look nice kind of cut up there. So I'm just going to trim that down. So there, and we can put whatever we want in this pocket. I could put another little, I don't know what you call these, scrap, sewn scrap. Okay, and then inside here, I think I'm just going to, well, we haven't made this yet, so here's a little collaged flip. So we'll do that here. So get another rectangle from your scraps. So in my scraps, I found this tag that I had just put a scrap here and a scrap here. I was using up my skinny scraps. This is a great way to do that. This needs a little bit more because it's too linear. It's not following the rule of thirds. I need something here. So I have these labels from Your Creative Studios, and maybe I'll just put a label on here. That one's too big. So I'm just going to glue that on. and off center, and I'm going to ink it up. And it's a nice pop of color for this journal. And then I'm going to use my masking tape just to adhere it to the side of the page. And I want to make sure that it's not too long. It needs to be a little shorter than this. Oopsie. And let's adhere it. What am I stuck on? Oh, there we go. Some of my stuff was sticking together. Let me take this page out from under it. Okay, there's a nice little flip. And on the back, I'm just going to put a little piece of this. So we have a little secret journaling spot. Okay, there's our little flip. So here's what we have so far. It's really coming together. I'm very happy with it. Very nice. And we can decorate this more later, or you can, but I do like to have some blank pages. Not every single page needs something, and that might be a nice place to put this, just to give it a little something. I'll put that in there. Okay, and then we have this and the back. And so now the last page I want to do is this. So we're still working in this second page. And what I want to do on here is do just a little bit of stamping. There are so many ways that you can do stamping if you have stamps in your junk journals, and maybe one of these days I'll do one that shows a bunch of stamping techniques. But for today, I am just going to use this stamp here, and on these tea-stained pages, I love using white ink. I'm just using pigment ink in white. It just gives it a very subtle look, depending on, well, it depends on how dark your tea-stained paper is. And I think I'll put it, I want to go off the page just a little. Let me put something under there. I'm just going to go on the side here. And a little bit down here. There. So it just gives it a little bit of a subtle, it's hard to see because of the glare, but it just gives it a little bit of a subtle background. You can do any color you want, any stamp you want. It's not showing up on the camera very well, but it's showing up enough on the page that I'm really happy with it. And here we go. Here's our finished product. Or project. We have these little tags in there. We have this little booklet and our flip out with a journal spot on the back. And our very subtle stamping here. A pocket, a belly band with a tag. And on the back we have another journaling spot. So I'm very happy with this. I want to show you a couple of other pages that I made to give you some ideas. So on this one, I made 2 of these. Sometimes when I find a collage template that I really like, I'll make more than one. So I really liked the way this turned out. I had some scraps of wallpaper, so I put those on here, and I did sew up the side. I had this is torn tea-stained paper that I stamped on. I think one of the essential things to have is at least one stamp with words on it, and it doesn't matter what it says. Like this is just gobbledygook. It doesn't even make any, or no, this one just doesn't even make any sense. So just something where you can stamp every once in a while. Underneath, I do have music paper, and then in the upper left and upper right, I have some more scraps. This is tea-stained paper with more stamping, and this is embossed cardstock, which I seem to be out of right now, so I might make some more of that to have in my stash. Oh, I made 3 of these. See? So it's a good idea when you have some similar scraps to do a little production line and make several pages. And I don't think I did anything on the back. Nope. Nope. Another one that I made recently was the same thing as the others I just showed you, but on this one I sewed an antique doily and put some vintage cotton on the bottom and made a little flip, and underneath I have some piano roll paper. So I made that one recently. And then I was just messing around with my steampunk kit. This is one of the images in the kit. I happened to have a balloon, piece of muslin. This is some of the old dictionary, and I have a Tim Holtz stencil that's old clocks that I stenciled on top. In my stash, I always have some of these. I take some of my strips and I just sew all over them, and throw these in my bin over here, and so I can have some of those. So that's kind of what I've been working on. And there's the first one I made, and there's the second one, very similar, and then these. So I do hope that you find a great use like this for your scraps, that you have enough to do a whole bunch of these pages. It'll make you feel really good to get rid of some of those scraps, to use them up and make something beautiful out of them. So stay tuned for the next crafty video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!